Hey, if you're an agency owner, you need to stop selling retainers. Now, look, I know that retainers are how agencies, consultants, service businesses make their money, but retainers are the hardest thing to sell. Instead, pitch them on a strategy, a roadmap, an audit plus roadmap, make it at least as big as the first month of retainer, if not even bigger. And then you pitch them the project on the back end to get them into that retainer so that you can help them actually implement it. Hey, what's up? If you're new here, I help agency owners grow. So if you're around 200, 250, $300,000, you want to go to a million and you don't know how to get there, get in touch. Subscribe below to the YouTube channel and get in touch with me over on Instagram, instagram.com/DohertyJF, and send me a DM. I'd love to send you some more information about how I help agencies grow. So pop on over there after you hit the subscribe button below. Back to the video. So I was on a call with a coaching client this morning. He's based in the UK and he sells SEO consulting to e-commerce companies, mostly on Shopify. He emailed me a couple days ago and said that he wanted to talk about onboarding. I was like, okay, yeah, let's dive into that. I was like, onboarding isn't really your issue. But what we got into was that he doesn't help with onboarding because he doesn't know how to kick off projects after he sells a retainer. And so I asked him, so how are you selling this? He goes, well, I sell a retainer and then I basically tell them that we start with an audit. And from there, we figure out the roadmap. And I was like, okay, here's our problem. So what I have found and what I've learned over the years is retainers are really, really hard to sell. They're the hardest thing to sell, in fact, and they're a really hard upfront offer because they cost a lot of money to get. Your close rates are going to be low. And then you have to provide a lot of value from the start in order for them to stick around longer term, but also you end up doing a lot more of the work up front and then hoping that they stick for the length of the contract. You plan on making the bulk of your profit on the back end. This is problematic for a few reasons, especially when you're trying to scale up. The main reason why this is problematic is because your cash cycle becomes severely delayed. Let's say you're spending $500 to get a qualified call. That's a little high. Ideally, you're around like 250, but most people are around 500. You have to have 3 or 4 of these in order to close a client, right? So really, we're talking $1,500 to $2,000 in spend that you lay out just to get a client. And then you sign them on for $5K and it costs you 3.5 in order to deliver it. And it takes a few months to close them. So realistically, you're talking 4 or 5 months before you actually make that money back and you start profiting. So this is a problem. It's also become harder and harder for prospects to agree to a retainer like this because they've been burned in the past. They've been locked into long contracts and the work doesn't happen, but they still have to keep paying these people because they're in a 12-month contract and that sort of thing. It ends up being bad for everybody. And so a lot of prospects are really gun shy right now. This can be used to your advantage because everyone else is pitching long retainers as well, right? Because they're like, well, it takes 6 months to see results, or it takes 3 months to get your campaigns really in place and starting to get leads come in, right? Whether we're talking about SEO or we're talking about Google ads or Meta ads or what have you. The way that I think you should pitch this, the way I counseled him to pitch this, and the way that I'm recommending to you to pitch this is not to pitch a retainer. And you can use this to advantage by saying, I'm not going to be like these other guys. I'm not going to pitch you a retainer because honestly, you don't know what you need. I don't know what you need. So why would I pitch you something that might not be the right fit? And then I might be overcharging you or I might be undercharging you and have to come back to you for more money. You don't want that. And I don't want to have to do that. So here's what I suggest. I suggest we start with a roadmap and strategy. Some people call this an audit. Mine's not an audit. I am going and I'm looking at the areas of opportunity, but I'm using that to then inform the roadmap and the strategy moving forward. So these take me about 3 weeks to deliver. And we start off with a quick call, about 30, 60 minutes, and we dig deep into what you've had going on. We dig into your competitors. We dig into activities that you've done or things that you've tried or not tried. And ultimately, I want to know what's the question that I can answer that would make the whole thing worth it for you. Once we've got all that in place and I've got payment in place, then I go away and I do the audit and put together the roadmap and the strategy. And then we come back together about 3.5 weeks later and we talk through that. You ask clarifying questions. And if it makes sense to keep on working together, great, we do that. If not, you've got the strategy and you know where to invest. You can sell this upfront strategy for probably around $5,000. If it's a big site, it's a big multinational, and this is super strategically important to them, you could probably sell it for 15, something like that. Much easier to sell that than to sell a 10K a month retainer. So you sell that up front on the initial kind of fact-finding call after they've committed and after they've paid. You set up the next call. You deliver the work in 3 weeks' time, for example, and then a call for 4 business days later so that then you're hopping back on a call with them, you're talking through it, and then you get the opportunity to pitch them on ongoing work. If you don't do this and you don't set it up and you say like, hey, I'll offer a call afterwards, 80% aren't going to take you up on the call and you're never going to get a chance to pitch them. So you need to bam, fam, book a meeting. From that first meeting, to the meeting after the audit has been delivered. And of course, ultimately, what we are trying to do is get them into a retainer. Let's make no bones about it. We're trying to get them into a retainer, but we're building trust and we're making sure that we're pitching them on the right thing. And that's exactly how I position it. So stop pitching retainers. They're terrible. They're hard for people to agree to, and so they don't end up doing anything. Instead, pitch them on a strategy, a roadmap, an audit plus roadmap. Make it at least as big as the first month of a retainer, if not even bigger. And then you pitch them the project on the back end to get them into that retainer so that you can help them actually implement it. So what am I saying here? You need a good upfront offer like this so that you can sell them into that. And it's way easier for them to then agree to work with you ongoing afterwards, after they've already paid you something, you've already built trust, and you've pitched them exactly what they need instead of trying to pitch them a retainer from the start. All right, y'all, take this to the bank, go and implement it. It'll change your business.